What's up, man? Come on in. Check 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Sound check 1 2 3. This is my normal talking voice.
What's up, man?
Everything is everything.
Good to see you.
This is going to be interesting, Code Keepers. We're just having a discussion. One of the things that we've discussed so very often is the misconceptions that a lot of us come into business with.
Okay.
And one of your fortes is, giving that great direction that our community just hasn't benefited from until people like you start speaking. I'm saying too much, man. Look, man, what are we doing wrong in business?
We're doing a lot right. I'll start with that. We'll do the setup spike type of thing.
Okay. The sandwich. You're gonna say we do something good.
No, we do a lot good. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of grind. There's a lot of willpower and grit to go out there and achieve. We've learned to do a lot with almost nothing. I think that's something that gets overlooked. We've done.
I don't know. Dougie Fresh said that, right? We the willing have done. Well, I can't.
No one else wants to do with almost nothing.
Yeah,
So
you ain't really doing nothing.
Yeah, no, it's been that way. Like we've set a standard and kind of shown people that you could do a lot with almost nothing, and it's kind of been forced upon us, and we've had to make do with almost nothing to do a lot. So there's a lot of respect that goes to these people that are out there grinding and making things work despite everything. No, it's important. It's important. I think it's important to set it up that way though, because I think the disconnect is this, and we talk about this a lot, is people think the entrepreneurship and the LLC is the goal. They think going to get that LLC paperwork is the goal. And I see people celebrating it, and sometimes it feels a little, it's fine, it's cool to celebrate the small wins, but I think that there's too much emphasis and too much celebration on the LLC as if that was the end all be all. And that's really even before the beginning of the real work that you're about to go into. Like that's not even, I don't even want to say that's step one. Like that's just so, to me, it's so minor to go get that LLC paper. Like you go pay $100. Like if you're in the state of Virginia, you go to the Virginia State Commission website and it's $100. You go put your $100 and they send you your PDF right there immediately.
Right.
And I see a lot of people like, yes, I got the LLC and now I'm gonna go get loans and all this stuff. And it's like, no, there's a lot of work that goes into this. And I'll remind people, like, don't think you're gonna work 40 hours for somebody else and then work 5 hours for yourself and think you're gonna make the same amount of money. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get why people will step into entrepreneurship and then give up and say, well, I had to, go back to the 9 to 5 because I just wasn't making enough money because I wasn't earning the same. And it's like, well, did you give it 40 hours? Did you even give it 30 hours a week? Did you give it 20?
So that's where the lacking comes in. That's the mentality piece I think we should really dive into today. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at the schools. I worked at the university. I worked at this corporation. I gave them 40 hours a week. But when I open mine, I think it should flourish with 5 to 10 hours.
Well, and they think too, it's like I want to go into business ownership because then I'll be able to take off whenever I want to take off. I'll be able to work the hours I want to work. That's true. But in the beginning, most people that are successful, they're going to tell you they were working 70, 80 hours a week. They weren't taking vacations. They were missing out on a lot of important events in their life for many years until they got to the point where they could have that work-life balance. So I saw a preacher recently who he was talking about that he no longer is talking about balance anymore. He's talking about rhythm. And I agree with that. It's not so much work-life balance. It's not so much life balance to me. It's rhythm, knowing the rhythm and knowing when you're in a season of grind mode and you're going to be missing out on some important events. You might miss a baby shower of a family member that you thought you were going to be able to go to. You might not be able to make it to every, important event. You might not be able to make it. That's the rhythm of the season you're in now, until you work to a point where now we're in the next season where I can delegate and I can get some team members to help out and I could take my eyes off the business for 2 seconds. But in those first couple of years when you're building, I don't believe in that balance exists. I think that's fate. I think there is no like I've seen people start the entrepreneurship journey thinking I'm gonna work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday only, from zero. That hasn't been my experience. In the beginning, you were answering phone calls and text messages and emails at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, way beyond business hours. Because you're out there trying to make an impression, you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you're doing everything you can to get some kind of competitive edge. Yeah, because like, you're not going to, the chances are when you're starting, you're not going to be cheaper than everybody necessarily. You're not going to necessarily be the best in the field. So what kind of competitive edge are you going to have? Sometimes it is going to be the accessibility to you. And it sucks because you start to drain yourself. You find yourself at a point where you're doing so much and giving everyone access to you 24 hours a day. But it's like in the beginning, that almost felt like the most competitive edge we had was, okay, you call them at 5 o'clock, you can't get them. You call me at 7, you can get me. That's how it felt in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And we built the business that way. Little by little, we grew to the point where it was like, okay, now we could really establish some boundaries in office hours and say at 5 o'clock, we're not doing it no more. When I answer emails, when I answer phone calls. But yeah, in the beginning, that was everything. That was weekends, nights.
Yeah.
You need us, we were running to go get that money.
Look, I know when I started my entertainment firm, I was taking calls till 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. You know, because whenever they had the availability to call, is when I would take the call. They work nights and they didn't get off till late. Yeah, you can call me 2 a.m., you know, because I want to get that contract. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I make a profit from you. So,
yeah.
But you deal with businesses in a way that's very different than I did. You are in the position, and I actually want you to speak about your business so people know what we're talking about, mm-hmm. where you help business people start off on the right foot. I mean, you counseled, you guided, you were an advisor, you were a consultant. You did that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you do first. Well, not me.
Yeah.
Tell the camera.
Yeah, so we at Tsunami Digital Media, we do video production primarily for small businesses, large businesses, and nonprofits. And I like to say we want to help amplify voices. We want to help tell stories. But essentially it's video production. If we distill it down, if we're going to tell a child what it is, I'd like to say, well, they say if you can't explain it to a kid, then you don't even understand it well enough.
You don't understand it, right.
So if we distill it down to the simplest thing, we do video production here. And that's commercials, documentaries, testimonials, all that sort of thing. In the mix of it, what you're alluding to is that we take it a step further in terms of customer service and my own personal integrity. And it's if a client sits across from me and says, hey, I'm starting my business today. I have no social media presence at all, but I know I need video content. I want to go ahead and give a $10,000 budget to go get the best commercial possibly filmed. Integrity wise, I've never been in a situation where I'm just like, here's an invoice, let's go do it. I have a bigger conversation.
That sounds like the dream, man. If I make the right joint, I make the right video, everyone's going to like it. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to book me. I just need to have the right one.
Mm-hmm. And we know that doesn't work that way. Social media doesn't work that way. Marketing doesn't work that way. This silver bullet type of approach to marketing, it doesn't exist. This idea that I'm going to spend X amount of money on a video and then all of a sudden that's all I'm going to do and my business will 10X because I did this great video. It doesn't work that way. It's weird because I think I'm not saying anything new. This is common knowledge to most people. But for some reason, I feel like many business owners.
Is it?
I think people know you got to market. They're getting marketed every day. Mm-hmm. They know that they're watching commercials every single day. They know this is a daily thing to promote your business. They've seen it. They see Coca-Cola, they see Red Bull. Every time they open their Instagram, they see ads over and over and over again, and they see the same types of ads because the algorithm knows what you like. So they're going to feed you nonstop ads about whatever you've been consuming.
I think people understand that they're consuming advertising. I'm not sure if business owners, particularly newer ones, and even the older ones, realize that that's the strategy or the level that they have to do if they want to get the results that they want.
But that's the thing where I say there's a disconnect. And that's the part that I don't understand. The disconnect with business owners where they forget what it's like to be a consumer. I think the business owner...
hold on. Say that again.
There's a disconnect with the business owner forgetting what it's like to be a consumer.
They forget what it's like to be a consumer.
Right. And they forget what it is that... As a consumer, right? Like if I'm as a consumer,
okay,
I don't know what you sell, and all of a sudden, as a business owner, you think I'm supposed to care as much as you care. I'm supposed to understand why the things cost what they cost for you. I'm supposed to care that you worked really hard for this business and that you got kids at home and you're out here struggling for the American dream. As a business owner, you kind of, for some reason, there's like this weird disconnect where they just had this expectation that I don't know where it comes from. I guess it's because maybe they're pouring so much of themselves into the business. And they're out there really trying to chase their dream and that passion. And there's a hope that people see that and appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But they forget you're running a business. And these are consumers. and they don't care about the struggles you have going on in terms of you're asking me for money.
Right.
And I just want what I need. It better be the quality I want or more, and I want to be treated the way I'm supposed to be treated. Like, it's just a weird thing. Like, if I had a client that was trying to sell a particular product, and it was the type of product that was a physical product. And I was explaining, you need to try to figure out how you get on Amazon. You need to have a direct-to-consumer channel with your website to sell them directly. And the answer was, no, I'm only going to go to trade shows because I'm not Walmart. And I'm like, I understand, but the particular product you're selling is available in Walmart right now in the $5 to $10 range. And that type of consumer is very used to going to add to cart, free shipping, and it's at my doorstep in 2 days. Your personal story about the struggle you went through to start your business and all the video content you want to make to explain that this is something that you've had a dream since you were a child and how it's going to help break the generational poverty in your family and XYZ and care about the emotional thing doesn't change that you're selling this very easily accessible commodity that's available on every shelf right now for $5 to $10, and you get it in 2 days. So as a consumer, it's not enough for me to hear the story of the struggle and then say I'm going to pay 3-4 times it and wait 3-4 times the amount of time it takes to get it. I'm not going to pay you $20 because your story is nice when I can go get it for $5 right now off a shelf. So as a business owner, we got to live in the reality of these consumers and how they participate in the market, how they're buying things, the level of service they expect. And there's certain things that you're not going to be able to do. That's why I say, like, in the beginning, you might not be able to be price competitive, because when you're doing a retail product, for example, when you have scale, you could do it for much cheaper, right? So if you're selling a actual physical product, it's going to be difficult to try to compete with larger companies that could just make it in mass and sell that thing at bulk for, cents on the, whatever it is, versus you got to buy a little quantity for your products or your materials, and now your cost is way higher, right? So everybody's situation is a little different, but it still doesn't change the reality of the consumer. You got to know your market, and you got to, and I say you just in the general sense, everybody's situation is a little nuanced and different, every business. So this doesn't apply to every business. I don't want people to hear it and say, well, in my industry over here, there's no, it's nuances to everything, right? But in the general sense, you should have a market understanding and remove your feelings from it. And the attachment you have from your story, your passion, your parents' background that led you to get to here, remove that and understand we're in business. Leave the feelings at the door to the side for a second. Like,
I like that. Remove your feelings.
Remove it for just 2 seconds. Like, tell your story. Like, by all means, tell your story. But there's just this weird entitlement, bro. There's like an entitlement where it's like, oh, I struggled and other people are more successful and I perceive they have it easier than me. Therefore, you should be willing to spend way more money with me versus just going the convenient route. And a lot of times they get treated better. That's the thing.
A lot of times they get treated better.
It's so many times. Like, I've had people tell me. So I'm Puerto Rican, and I've had many people tell me I needed to support other Hispanic businesses by nature of them being Hispanic. And I've told them, why I don't go to this particular Hispanic business? Because when I went there, I was treated poorly. I'm not. Why do I have to pay more just because we're of the same race, the same ethnicity? Why do I have to just accept lower quality service because we're the same race, the same ethnicity? Why?
And I'm sure they had no answer to that.
Well, the answer to it most of the time is, well, you got to understand that they're starting out. And I'm like, yeah, but please and thank you is free. Showing up on time is free.
Oh, hold on. Please and thank you is free.
Please and thank you is free. Showing up on time is free.
Yeah.
Being a person of your word is free.
Having your doors open when you say your doors are going to be
open at 9. You need to be open at 9.
Right.
You said you're going to get it back at 3. In 3 days. It better be 3 days. Those are things that are free.
Right.
I'm not talking about the things where there are other things that you might have to deal with. Maybe, a place isn't staffed up. I don't know if we talk about a restaurant, maybe they're not staffed up because the business is small and you might have to wait a little longer. Maybe that's different, right? There's nuance to these conversations, but accepting that a person's not going to be, held accountable to their word because they're a minority. Nah, I'll go get treated bad I'll spend less money to get treated bad. I don't have to pay a premium to be treated poorly. You know what I mean?
I kind of, you just kind of reminded me of something. I went to this restaurant, great black-owned restaurant, right? Really great quality customer service. And one of the things that floored me is when we got there, like, hey, it's going to take us a little longer to, prepare what you ordered. So we have some other things that we've been trying out. We'd like for you to sample them and give us your feedback. So while we're waiting on our order, they gave us some other stuff to try, just small samples. It wasn't anything that was robust. It wasn't a full plate. It was little bites. And they're like, hey, tell us what you think about it. So, they came back around and they wrote down what we said and things of that nature. And then our stuff came out. So it took longer rather, than it would normally. Mm-hmm. But I had a great experience. And I connected and I engaged with them. And I walked away from that restaurant thinking, man, if more of our businesses did that, like if I know there's going to be an inconvenience, that I overextend myself, that I overserve you. If I know there's going to be an inconvenience on this part, then I've already 10x'd the customer experience. And I think what you're saying there is, if our businesses, it might be the Latino businesses, it might be the Black-owned businesses, if our businesses would take that into consideration, that there's going to be some areas where we lack, so we need to overserve in other areas to make sure that the customers have a great experience, so they don't mind paying the surcharge it takes to run our businesses. Mm. I love that, man. I love that.
Yeah, I don't get why that perspective is lost, and I wish, I don't say it to down people. It's just to give them perspective, to remind them about what it's like to be a consumer. Like, we're not going to pay a tax just to do business with people that look and speak like us. Like, we still got to be treated. Here's the thing that throws me off, Seko. We're only asking for the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about just the standard of, like, we'll use the restaurant example. We'll stay there because it's very easy to understand. Mm-hmm. We're talking about, I go to a restaurant, the food should be hot when it comes to my table. There's not it's cold and you should understand because you're Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. No, I shouldn't. Like, I'm paying full price. Right. I'm giving you what you asked for.
Right. My money's not like
that's confusing to me. It's like, you said that the chicken and rice is going to be $20 a plate. Fine, I'm here. Let's go. Now it gets to me and it's cold. Now it gets to me and there's an attitude. Now there's problems with, with everything else with the service. And it's like, so you just accept it because we're minorities. No. This is look how low the bar has gotten, that when you get what you ask for, it's seen as high level service. Mm. Like right now, it's common for me. Like if I go to a restaurant and the food is piping hot, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Mm. It's a great experience. And it's like, but what were you expecting? Like the standard of service has gotten so low that if you get what you asked for, you think you got stellar service. The Bible says that you are like I'm thinking of it in Spanish.
Come on, man, say it in Spanish.
Siervo inútil, which is like an unuseful servant, right? Because all you did is what was asked of you. Mm-hmm. That's all you did. You did nothing more. So what are we celebrating?
I think in the parable of the talents
all you did is what I asked of you. So what are we celebrating? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if that's the bar just to do is like, and that's fine. Like, listen, the video is $2,000. You got the video. We gave it to you. The $2,000 came back. Cool. Business was done. Mm-hmm. But let's not pretend that we've received incredible stellar service. Like the bar of excellence is higher than that. Like look at how low the bar is in the market, to where Chick-fil-A dominated the fast food industry just by saying my pleasure. That's it. That's it. You're not going to tell me that you and your wife can't make better fried chicken in your house right now. But all they did was treat you better.
The wraps are good. But chicken wraps are good.
But all they said was you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Consistently.
Yeah, right.
To the point that you knew that that's what you're going to get. To the point that it felt odd. Their testimony, their reputation, that's branding, right? That's real branding. Mm-hmm. People think branding is a logo. There's a parentheses conversation now. People think branding is a logo. Branding is what people are already saying about you. In church, we'll call branding your testimony. That's what branding is. So people think, I'm going to work on your branding. It's like, no, you already have a brand if you pay attention. You know what your brand is? If you're the type of person that you go into a room and people are wary of cursing around you, maybe, or maybe they're not going to send you nudity and stuff like that because they know that's not the type of person. You have a brand. Businesses have a brand. They know what they can get away with. They already know your reputation. That's your brand. So Look at the brand of Chick-fil-A is so strong.
Right.
To where when they don't say you're welcome, you know something is wrong.
Something's wrong. Right.
That's not their standard. I didn't get to my pleasure. What happened?
You know, I've often wondered why their competitors haven't upped the ante in customer service.
But you know what they did? Right now you go to McDonald's and they say my pleasure when they say my pleasure.
I did start hearing that.
And they think,
but it's new.
But they think, see, this is where it's wrong. And this is a lot of entrepreneurs make this mistake. They try to replicate just that end result and not understand what like the real spirit of it is. Like my pleasure is just like the little period to the end of the customer service strategy. Like,
look, they're saying my pleasure at Mickey D's, but the whole experience is not like the experience at Chick-fil-A. It's not. No. It's not baked into their culture yet. I haven't seen that.
And it almost doesn't have to because they kind of serve different markets.
That's true.
Because McDonald's is just quick, and I you know what you're getting at McDonald's. It's the same when you go to Walmart. You know what you're getting at Walmart. Like right now, again, branding and testimonies parallel, right? You look at Walmart, you look at Target. These people are selling the same stuff, but you can already think in your head the type of people that go dressed to Walmart and the way people dress to go to Target.
Yeah, there's a club Walmart. There's not a club Target. So I know that if I go to a certain Walmart, you know, it's going to be lit. People are, it's crazy.
Now we're not supposed to go on to Target nowadays either. So
I haven't been in Target.
Just a scenario.
Yeah.
But just a comparison in market analysis and branding, right? We're not supposed to be going to Target. Don't.
All right. Okay. But when I did go, because to be honest with you, I never really shopped there myself. But my daughter and my wife.
Typically more expensive anyway too. And again, you kind of getting the same thing you would get at Walmart.
But if I went to Walmart at the same time I went to Target, there was a club Walmart. There was never a club Target. Well, it was like a Walmart where anything goes, and there wasn't that same debauchery.
Well, and at least I'll tell you this. I'll say this about that. If nothing else, again, there's nuance to every situation. If nothing else, Target was more protective of their image because maybe those things did go on at Target regularly. Target did a better job of stomping that out. Like we don't want that publicized and stuff like that. Maybe Walmart doesn't typically.
Or maybe the price point attracted a different demographic.
Maybe, but I think I want to be careful with that because it just depends. There's nuance to it. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of nuance to different behaviors at different places. But staying on the whole thing of branding and entrepreneurs understanding what your brand is. Take some time to self-reflect. Take some time to do some market analysis. Don't forget what it's like to be a consumer. Don't forget that you as a consumer, you don't spend money based on somebody else's sad story. You just don't. You'll like and repost and share, but you're not gonna go spend 2 times more money because that person's story is sadder than the next person's.
I like that. Don't forget what it's like to be the consumer. I think that's what we're gonna title this. Don't forget.
The market don't care about your feelings.
F your feelings.
It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't. And I say that as a person that has been grinding away, trying to do this to the best of their ability for the family. And it comes off kind of like tough love sometimes. And maybe people feel like they might feel like it's just like, oh, you're beating people up. It's like, no, it's just, there's a reality you have to operate in. And if we keep sugarcoating forever that the LLC means you're an entrepreneur, and the entrepreneurship means you can work 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then take every weekend off and then go on vacation whenever you want and go get all the loans you want in the business name, because if I got an LLC, I can go flip my $300 into a $100,000 loan and then I pay myself. And all these things you hear on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff about once you got an LLC, that's how you unlock all these loans and all these grants. Listen,
they don't tell the whole story.
They don't tell the whole story at all. They don't tell the whole story at all.
You know, I have a disc jockey company, and I would sit down with brides and grooms to be, and invariably, a lot of the grooms would say, "Yeah, whatever she wants, you know, happy wife, happy life," and I say, "That's half the story." And they would look at me like, "Huh?" And of course, the brides weren't really happy that I was saying this, but the truth is, you know, if the husband isn't happy, there's going to be problems. In most cases, if the husband's not happy, there's going to be a side piece. You got to want both partners.
Yeah.
So it's happy spouse, happy house is probably a better way of looking at it. So what I'm saying is you got to look at the whole picture. A lot of times when people, because, I help people get business credit and, fund their businesses, they don't realize opening the LLC will be a gateway to you to get some funding. But ultimately, the bank wants to see that you're making a profit. The funder wants to see that you have some revenue before they even truly open the gates and say, hey, we're really going to help you. So you can't really expect, just because you opened up and got your LLC, to get a big line, because they're only going to give a big line if you have big profits, if you have big records to demonstrate that you are able to pay back the funds that they're going to extend to you. So they don't tell the whole story is what I'm saying.
Right, 100%. And I don't know where this narrative came from, where like the LLC means you can walk into a bank and ask for a loan, because speaking only from my experience, in the beginning, when your business is not making X amount of, thousands of dollars, and you don't have that track record, and you're really just cash apping it or whatever, that's great. You have an LLC paperwork there, Tony. I'm still going to need to check your personal credit score.
Well, that's true.
I'm still need to check your personal debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I got an LLC, and they told me on TikTok at the LLC, it's like, you don't have a history.
Hey, TikTok tricked you.
Like, we are going to check your personal credit. Right. That's great. You got an LLC. We'll take it and file it. What's your personal credit? I need a personal guarantee. I need your name on here that says that despite you having an LLC, right now we're sitting in this office, and in this office, in our lease paperwork, there was a line that says, okay, you got an LLC, that's well and good. That makes you right with the state to do business, and you're covered with them.
Right.
Now, for our office space, I want your name and your home address right here, that if something happens, we're going to go talk to you.
We're coming for you. Right.
So,
because they're saying, F your feelings, bring everything to the table.
And they know the narrative that's out there, that with the LLC, I can go get all the loans I want, and I just close the LLC, and I move on, and nothing happens.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm going to need a personal guarantee. I'm going to need to check your personal credit, because your business doesn't have a credit score. You haven't been doing it long enough to have your credit score in your business.
No DMB, right?
I'm going to need to go check your personal credit. And people, I don't know why we're setting them up for failure that way. I think the conversation needs to be more around how you're handling your personal expenses, because one of the things I say is, many of the people I know in my circle, not that I know everything, and not that my circle is the whole experience of the whole country, there's nuance to everything. Many of the people in my circle, I say, we don't have an income problem, we have an expense problem. We're making enough money. We're making it. And you know how I know that?
Right.
You know how I know that? Because the people around me have worked in similar places, and we come from similar backgrounds and similar tax brackets. You get a home, that mortgage rate is typically the same thing, fluctuates maybe $100 or so, whatever, maybe $200, depending on whatever you got, with escrow and your right? You're working the same place. You got raises little by little. 10 years later, you're making more than you did when you bought that house first. 10 years later, you're all in this financial trouble. That wasn't an income problem. There was decisions that were made. Me and one of my best friends, we got a saying that we say all the time: when stuff hits the fan for people, we say choices and consequences. Choices and consequences. That's what you're dealing with.
Okay, say that again, because now I'm thinking maybe that's the title. You don't have an income problem.
You got an expense problem.
An expense problem. You have an expense problem.
And I'll say this, and there's nuance, and I keep repeating that because I know that sometimes we're talking broad strokes, and it might strike somebody's nerve the wrong way, because everybody's situation is going to be different. So with respect to people that there's nuance and it's a little different. But I would encourage anybody that says that they have an income problem to look inward and do an assessment of their expenses first. This is just smart thinking. I think it's just wise to look at, like, if it's like businesses got cash flow problems, families got cash flow problems. What's happening here? Where's the money going? Where are we bleeding money? Because to think that, if I go tell my boss, like like Dr. K we spoke to the other day. Okay. If we just think this attitude is going to be, I'm going to sit here waiting at the mercy of a boss to give me a raise to then improve my life, we're wrong. We're wrong. That's not the way this works, and that's not the way I'm going to live my life, is hoping my boss wakes up in a great mood to give me a raise. And I will routinely ask people too, it's like, what kind of problems do you have that you think a 50-cent raise is going to change? Or a $1 raise is going to change?
All right, I don't want to give away too much here, man, bro. Like I said, co-keepers, Tone definitely brought some valuable insight. And I think the walkaways from this, You don't have an income problem, you have an expense problem, number one. Number two is one of the things that have been repeated numerous times in our conversation, forget your feelings. And the third thing that I think I've heard you say repeatedly in this conversation, I should have written it down, but I wasn't. We were just talking.
Don't forget what it's like to be a consumer.
Don't forget what it's like to be the consumer. Why don't we end there, man? Salute. I'm telling you, Tone, you're the business whisperer, man.
Nah, I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
We all are.